So this should be covered in the videos created by Easy Webinar about how to connect Easy Webinar and ConvertKit. But I want to cover this just a little bit so that you're absolutely sure and you hear from our perspective, Deadline Funnel's perspective, how this really should operate. So let's go ahead and click Edit Event. And now what we want to do is we want to click on Event Integration. Okay, so I've already set up a ConvertKit integration, and so I will click ConvertKit on the dropdown. And so now we have the ability to choose a list. Now, this is a little bit of a misnomer because this dropdown list actually are not lists inside of ConvertKit. It's not sequences. What these are the names of your forms. So let's go over to ConvertKit and I'll show you what I mean. So if I go over to Forms, you'll see that I have a form called, where is it? AP, here we go, the first one, AP Automated Webinar Form. All right. Now, if I go to Sequences, I've got a list called AP Demo 7-Day Automated Webinar Sequence. All right, so let's go over to Easy Webinar, and when I hit the drop down, you see it's actually a form. So it's a little bit of a misnomer. This should be a drop down list of of ConvertKit forms. Now, here's what's tricky. You need to make sure that this form, whatever form you choose, is going to add someone to the sequence that you want. So here's what I mean. There's a couple different ways that you could do this inside of ConvertKit. So inside of ConvertKit, if you like using their visual automations, you could set it up that way. I'm a little bit more old school in the sense that I like to go to their rules section over here on the top right. So under rules, I can do the following. It's pretty straightforward and simple. When I click the button to add a rule, I can choose when someone subscribes to a form, and then ConvertKit will say, great, which form? AP Automated Webinar Form. Okay, on the right side, what should ConvertKit do? They should subscribe to a sequence. Okay, what sequence? That would be the AP Demo 7-Day Automated Webinar Sequence. All right, so if we go back to the concept that I've shared with you about the dominoes, each of these dominoes has to tip the next one that comes after it. So my point here is that even though Easy Webinar is really submitting someone through a ConvertKit form, if that form doesn't add them to a sequence, then you're going to have a little bit of a breakdown. All right. So I just wanted to point that out. Now, if something that I've said is contradicted by what the folks at Easy Webinar said, of course, they know their software the best. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and click to save this rule, because now when someone, so now I can go over to Easy Webinar and say, great, when someone submits this form, they're going to also be added to that follow-up sequence. Now, let's go to the tagging. And this is really, really important because, as I pointed out, they need to be tagged in ConvertKit in order for the webhook to be sent out. And just to recap why that is, if I scroll down, I've got a lot of rules here, but if we scroll down, this one second from the bottom says when this tag is added, it's going to send the webhook to Deadline Funnel. And here's that rule. This was created automatically in the step that I walked through in the Deadline Funnel admin, where we walked through and step by step created the webhook. Okay, so we chose a tag, and it's going to send the information to this URL at Deadline Funnel. All right. So when someone registers, here's one way to do this. It's not the only way, but here's one way to do this. When someone registers, we could choose to apply a tag called, where is it? Let's see here. I may have to hit refresh here. Let's reload the list and tags. Okay, webinar form. Here we go at the bottom. AP Demo Training Automated Webinar Start. Okay, so this is one way to do it, and I could click Save, and we're good to go. Right now, this, like everything in your automated funnel, you're eventually going to want to test this. But what should happen is that someone is submitted to, when someone registers, not only do they go into the Easy Webinar system, but Easy Webinar will submit them through the form. You've set up ConvertKit to subscribe them to your sequence, right? And then when that happens, we're also going to tell Easy Webinar to apply this tag. Okay, now I want to show you there is an alternate way to do this. Okay, so if we remove that, I just wanted to show you that there's an alternate way. What you could do is, because again, let's take a look at automations. If we look at the rule that we created where someone has been, when someone subscribes to this form, they are added to this sequence. What we also could do is we could add a rule that says when someone subscribes to a sequence, that being the AP Demo webinar sequence, add the tag. Which tag? That would be the AP Demo Training Automated Webinar Start. Okay, so this is having ConvertKit apply the tag when someone subscribes. It doesn't matter which one you do. You don't want to do both, but choose one and go with that, and then you just need to test it out. But if something, when you go to test things out, if for some reason, and I'll show you how to test later, but if for some reason the webhook is not being sent, take a look to see, is the tag being applied in ConvertKit? All right, so I'm not going to save this. I'm just going to go back to Easy Webinar and choose for them to add the tag, and I'll click Save. All right. I just wanted to show you, it doesn't matter whether you have Easy Webinar apply the tag or ConvertKit apply the tag, as long as when they register, that tag is applied. Okay, so now it's time to test things out. So the way that you test, I've covered this before, but I want to make sure that I show this again. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you, let's see here. Well, I was going to leave this page, but I want to leave this page open so you can see that this initial webhook event is going to change. Let's go ahead and go to the registration page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to register with a new email. All right, so it looks like I'm going to have to go here, publishing options. And let's go to the registration link. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and re-register. So I'm going to register with Jack Blist plus CK Test, and you'll see why I'm pointing this out in just a little bit, because you'll be able to see this email show up if this worked. So let's go ahead and register for the event. Okay, so now what we want to do in order to test this out is we go back here, and already, even before I could switch back to this page, it says status test successful. All right, and you can click to go to the event tracking page, which I'll do in just a bit, or if you ever want to get to event tracking over on the left, that's another way to get there. So let's just click. And you'll see that we have Jack Blist plus CK Test at gmail.com. All right, so that test worked. All right, so now there's another part of this which I'm going to cover in greater detail. So the API integration for email systems like ConvertKit. You saw the first step with the webhook. That's part one. Part two is very straightforward, but let's go and edit your campaign. I'll show you exactly what you need to do. And I'll cover this in great detail, but under email setup, for every funnel step that we've set up, for the short page, for the long page, for the replay page, Deadline Funnel gives you a URL that you can use and must use in your email in order for the API integration to work. So I'll cover that. I'm just going to leave it there and cover that in more detail in another video.